Thanks for staying with us. It's been nearly 2 years since the brutal murder of a 19-year-old student at the hands of a post office employee. Uyinene Mrwetyana's death sparked a mass movement against gender-based violence across South Africa. This Women's Month, the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation is calling on victims of gender-based violence to pen letters demanding an end to this ongoing scourge. Masimbulele Buso is the foundation's managing director and joins me now from Makanda in the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much for joining us. I must say that in preparation for this interview, Masimbulele, I really couldn't believe that it was just in 2019 that this tragic murder, this despicable murder took place and really acted as a lightning rod across the country, bringing to the attention of the highest office of the land, the scourge that so many South Africans deal with on an everyday basis. When you think back now, 2 years ago, yes, we have lived through a pandemic since then. How far do you think we've come since Uyinene's murder?
Thank you for having me tonight. We were just doing a reflection on this not so long ago, and unfortunately, what we came to realize was very disappointing. 2 years later, there has been no change. I think when we looked back, we realized that things have actually gone worse. More women have lost their lives to gender-based violence. There haven't been any harsher sentences for these perpetrators. There hasn't been any sexual offences courts that have started since then. And all these were promises that were made 2 years ago. And still, we are still fighting. We are still shouting. We are still begging. We are still afraid as women of this country. So unfortunately, nothing has changed.
I remember in the days after her murder, we had the president visiting the parents of Uyinene at the time, the president speaking about what he was planning to do. I think there were task teams or who knows what was being put together to address the issue. We had hundreds of people marching on Parliament to try and bring it to the attention of our leaders in office. Of those promises that were made, what for you are the ones that are the most important to bring to attention that has still not been acted upon?
I think for us, more than anything, is the fact that gender-based violence is made to be a footnote to on agendas. Especially with government and where policies sit. That's what overall we are fighting for, that can we not be a footnote, can we be remembered, and can we be assisted? Because unfortunately, majority of the responsibility to stop these crimes lie with men, and mostly they are men in these offices. And so there's a lot of policies that have been written, there's a lot of policies that were meant to be implemented, but nothing has been done, and our government is very silent, and it's quite saddening, especially during Women's Month, where it's almost a reminder that as a woman you are in danger every day. As a woman, you should be afraid every day. So for us, it's more a thing of let's be remembered. Do not make us a footnote, and please enforce these promises and keep them.
Now, the foundation has launched a campaign for Women's Month, letters to be written, to be taken from post office to Parliament is what you're calling it. Obviously, the post office being such a tragic reminder of how Uyinene's life was snuffed out far too early. Tell us, what was the inspiration behind this campaign that you've launched?
So the idea came from a wonderful woman called Emily Orion, who works for Rotary International. And really the idea is very symbolic for us. As you mentioned, the post office is where it almost ended. I'm going to say almost ended because it didn't end. We're here, we're still fighting. And so we wanted it to be symbolic in that nature, and also just for most of us, us who were involved or who are involved in the foundation, we've never stepped a foot at the post office. And so for us, it's very symbolic, and it's a healing process for us more than it is anything. And then we want to march in solidarity all together to Parliament and hand in a petition that really highlights the fact that we want to be remembered. We want things to change. We cannot be at war, and we cannot be women in waiting for the rest of our lives. We all deserve to move freely. We all deserve to have loving partners in our lives where we are not scared. We all deserve to just go to the, to the grocery store and buy something and come back, not thinking that, well, will I ever make it back home? So for us, that's our mission and vision for this project.
What is your call to action? Because you do want South Africans to write a letter. Who are you hoping will write those letters, and what are you hoping they will write about?
Everyone, really. As a psychologist myself, I know penning something and putting something down is such a great exercise for, it's just cathartic for emotions and healing and all of that. So for people that have been survivors of gender-based violence, we encourage people to write. For people that have been affected by gender-based violence, we encourage those people to write. For people that have solutions that we're looking for, or people who want to be allies and supporters, we want those letters. These letters are intended to be research for government. Government will have full access to these letters, and we will go through them in a form of, recording what people need. So it's more like going into the communities and finding out what is there, what are we missing, what hasn't been done, and what do we want to see more of. So the call of action is for everyone who has a story to write, everyone who wants to support, and everyone who has a solution to put forward.
Speaking of those who have been impacted by gender-based violence, have you had any recent contact with Uyinene's family? Do you know how they're doing?
Yes, so I work with Uyinene's family every day with the foundation, especially Uyinene's mother. Grief is something that is always interesting to me. We never forget. It never goes away, but we just manage to build new memories around it, and we keep going. It will never go away. It will always be something that needs to be processed, but the family is strong, and they always want to move forward. They always want to, focus on the positive, focus on strength, and focus on being there for other people and lending a helping hand.
Well, we can only wish them everything of the best as their journey of grief continues. Thank you so much for your time this evening. That was Masimbulele Buso. She is the Managing Director for the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation. If you want to find out more about that letter writing campaign, you can find their website, uyinenefoundation.co.za, and you just click on Write a Letter, and you can be part of that as well.